You are the source of my strength. Oh, you are the strength of my life. I will trust. I lift my hands in total praise to you, Lord. I will live mine eyes to the hills, knowing my help is coming from you. Your peace you give me in time of the storm. Oh, you are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I'll lift my hands in total praise to you. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kiera. We really appreciate you coming here and ministering to us each week. And it always feels too short, but I truly appreciate you. And thank you for setting the tone for today.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
So typically today, we began with sharing a couple of housekeeping items and things of that nature. Um, because of the nature of today's call, we wanted to streamline our call. So we had a lot of that playing. Many of you have been on our calls each week, and so you know the routine. And so today we just want to focus all of our attention, all of our efforts on the topic at hand, which is healing today. And so we've switched up the call, the order of the call to really, really emphasize this concept of healing. We want this to be a safe space for us to collectively come together and talk about what's going on right now. Sharing your raw emotions, your frustrations, your hope, and any words of encouragement that you have or that you need. We started these calls for the community, and so we want to make sure that, especially in today's environment, that we are being considerate, thoughtful conveners on behalf of the community. And so to begin today, I just want to allow our Minority Freedom Community Fund leadership to share a few words in regards to a message of hope, of encouragement, of inspiration that they would like our callers to have today. I will begin and I will ask any Minority Freedom Community Fund board members, committee members, or volunteers to follow. By now, many of us have been flooded with messages via emails and social media posts from our friends, various business owners of businesses we patronized, government and nonprofit leaders, etc., all with very well-intentioned ideas of what we should be doing and how we should be thinking and reacting right now. While these messages have been inspiring, thought-provoking, and sometimes necessary in the moment, I recognize that digesting these countless instructions on how to be Black right now can be equally as exhausting. For those of you who are in this group, the group of the tired yet yearning for change, deflated yet not defeated, heartbroken yet hopeful, to you, I have no new words to add to the flurry of recommendations already inundating your mind. I see you, I appreciate you, I understand you, I am you. For those of you that have room for more, or at minimum more from me, here is my suggestion. Make space for yourself to heal, to feel, to heal. Embrace the moment and recognize that what we are witnessing and participating in will be ingrained in our children's history books. Think critically about the way you want your life to be remembered and align your actions accordingly. Above all, love first. At this time, I would like to invite our president or any other board members who are on the call to share any words that you have for the community.
My name is Nakia Thomas, and I am the president of the Minority Freedom Community Fund. I just want to say that my heart is aching for my dad, my husband, my brothers, my uncles, my nephews, my cousins, my godsons, my male friends, and the little brown boys who will have to grow up and become targets. It's time that we wake up and end this cycle. We need one another now more than ever. I believe that it's time to fight. Fight for our community. Open your businesses, support the ones that are already open. Fight for the education of our children. Mentor a child or support our schools and our youth program. Fight for the education of our children. Fight for our brothers and our sisters in need. Donate your time, money, or resources. Fight for your place in society. Educate yourself, and please complete your census. Fight at the polls. Show up to vote or even run for office. Fight to win. Fight to elevate. Fight to make a difference. Most importantly, fight together, because we know that the more people you have fighting with you, the better your chances are to win. Channel your anger and your frustration to fight in a way that will change your life, the lives of others, and our future generation of our boys, and our brown girls. I challenge you to get involved, vote, complete your census, support our businesses, give back to our communities, help the less fortunate, run for a local office, mentor our youth, educate yourself, and more importantly, love and support one another.
Thank you, Nakia. Are there any other Minority Freedom Community Fund board members or volunteers that have words to share with the community right now? Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite anyone that is on the call that has anything they would like to share, they would like to express, they would like to ask about what's going on in our country right now, what's going on in their communities and in their lives. We invite you to open up, to share with us, and to get healing in this moment. If you need assistance unmuting yourself, please let us know by chatting. You should be able to unmute yourself. If you're dialed in, you can press *6.
Hi, this is Kayla.
Hi, Kayla.
Hi, I just wanted to say that as a preteen that is still in elementary school, I think that there is so much more that we as youth could be doing to help and not just sit back and watch the world crash down in front of us.
Thank you, Kayla. I definitely agree that we definitely want to make sure that the actions that we're taking and the policies that we're developing are informed by our future generations. A lot of times people think about the present and the current in themselves, and we really need to make sure that we're considering our youth, and that means including our youth in the conversation. So thank you for being part of the conversation and being a leader in our organization as well. Are there any other comments or thoughts from anyone else on the call?
Hello, this is Kiera again. I just wanted to speak more so to how we handle our peers and how we handle um, those that may just be acquaintances, people that we may just, encounter in passing. It is incredibly important to allow people the space to be themselves, whether you agree or disagree. And I think that everybody's voice holds some form of value, whether it's your perspective or if it's a completely different perspective. And the reason that I am bringing this up and being vocal about this is because this past week, I've never struggled so much with voicing or expressing like how I felt. And a lot of it was unfortunately, by my own community. So I didn't feel like I had a space to be upset, a space to ask questions, a space to process what's really happening, a space to figure out how I can contribute. So I think it's just important that as we all process, as we all share, it's nothing wrong with sharing your disposition. It's nothing wrong with sharing your emotions. It's all a part of the process. Grief has many processes, but I think it is so important to be gracious with yourself and then also to extend grace to others, because everyone is essentially we're trying to create a new norm and everyone is trying to figure out how they fit into that. So just, in your encounters, it's a time where emotions are high, but just really kind of filter through your emotions when you are trying to reconcile. I'm not going to tell anybody how to feel when they are just confronting the issues, but when you're trying to reconcile with others, just, consider that you're not the only person coming to the conversation or to the table, but it's a group effort. That's it.
Thank you, Kiera. I definitely echo your comments, especially the piece about grace. grace in our interactions and in our thoughts, our in-person interactions and our online interactions, I would add. It gets very easy to forget that the other person on the other side of your thumb is a person when you're on the phone. And so that often introduces opportunities for us to just slip a little bit in our integrity and in our grace and the demonstration of love that we all should be exhibiting. And so just want to reiterate and emphasize that at a time like now, we can't afford to forget the humanity of our brothers and sisters, whoever they are and wherever they are.
Amen.
Are there any other people on the call today that have any comments that they would like to share?
Yes, hello, this is Pastor Damon Allen. I hope everybody is doing well tonight and processing the healing from all the hurt. I just like to say I have dual feelings right now. For one, I'm like everyone else, seeing the senseless brutality and murder of so many men that look like myself and my brothers and those who are around me. It is very disturbing. It's very hurt. I'm very hurt because of it. I will say I'm wounded in a sense, but even beyond that, there's also hope there. There's some hope because when I look around and even when I look at the news somewhat, what I'm seeing is a growing recognition around the world that we are here, that we matter. And while it may not be happening so much so in the White House or so much so in our local communities, we are seeing that global shift and that global change from countries who overlooked Africans, who just, or overlooked people of African descent, who just a year ago or 2 years ago were putting them out of their countries or, writing laws to, segregate them. And now we see the people of those countries coming together in droves. And it really inspires me in the sense that there is some change coming. There's change, there's growth, there's understanding coming. And while it may not come overnight, I am very happy to see that it is coming, and we will be having dialogue. And when a person who does not look like you says Black Lives Matter, or a person who does not look like you say, hey, there's injustice here, there is hope there. And it may be a long while in the communication, it may be a long while in the growth, but that is a start. And if we can just be happy with the start, it will not make anyone's life in vain. And I think that's the greatest thing we could say, that their lives and them losing their lives, while it may hurt, it's not in vain. It's not for vanity's sake, but there's some moving forward there. And that's just a little bit of hope I wanted to share tonight.
Thank you so much, Pastor Allen, and thank you for getting involved with our organization. Pastor Allen is our newest advisory board member. We welcome you, we thank you, and we look forward to partnering with you. Are there any other people on the call right now that have anything to say, to add, any questions? This is your moment.
Hi,
Hi, Miss Nina. I heard you, but it sounds like we're having a little bit of connectivity issues. Could you say something?
I think somebody else was trying to chime in, so I was trying to give them space.
Okay,
I hear
you good.
Go ahead. I'll go after her.
Okay. Yeah, really quickly. It's been really difficult to try to process where I am in all of this. I've been talking to one of the vendors I work with at my company, and she sent a confidential letter to a couple of us Black people, and she was expressing how, we've all been trained in this corporate America to be this corporate clone and leave our human experience at the door, and to try to maintain these robotic and docile features, given all of everything else that's going on around us. We're just supposed to pretend like is not impacting us. And with all of this is happening, it's been happening since, you know, I can remember, but this recent incident, it just caused some of the injustices that I've experienced to resurface. And it is honestly frustrating. I've been on a number of calls with the company and our Forward African Ancestry Network, and we've been having a lot of dialogue. And honestly, in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, is it really going to change? Can we really have an impact? And there are some actionable things that were identified, but at the end of the day, you know, beyond the sensitivity training and beyond, you know, the protests, at the end of the day, are we still going to be looked at as these savage thugs? And are we still going to, you know, have these side eyes from our coworkers? And are we still going to have to deal with just inequity overall? And it's honestly frustrating, and I feel like I'm just faking it to make it, just because it doesn't seem like it's ever going to change, just because of people's upbringings, their attitudes, their perspectives. I don't know what it is, but it is a point of frustration for me. And I'm hoping that I can do something, and I'm not saying necessarily that I have all the answers, but I'm willing to be supportive. That's all I will say.
Thank you, Miss Nina. And hi, Sharika. I do see you, and I do want to give you your space. I just want to quickly respond to Miss Nina by saying that I posted a link to an article. I'm not sure if you saw it. I saw it a couple of days ago on LinkedIn, and it talked about maintaining professionalism in the workplace right now with everything that Black people are carrying. And so I think it spoke a lot to what you were saying. But in regards to feeling as though there's too much change, maybe that needs to take place in order for real change to occur, and feeling overwhelmed and not sure, I just want to say that I feel you, I hear you, and that is all the more reason why we fight, why we continue to do what we do, why we get up every day, and why we do not lose hope. We stay strong to our faith, and we continue to be beacons of light to people in the community, so that we can get more people on our side and more momentum behind the movement that we're trying to have. So, Sharika, I won't keep going. I will let you go ahead and say your words. And thank you for joining our call today.
Yes, I finally made it. I really wanted to address what Nina was speaking on. I really appreciate everything that you do. I don't know what type of field that you're in, but I would encourage you to, every time you walk in that office, to stand tall, to hold your head high, because you went the further steps to educate yourself to get to the level to sit at the desk next to those people. So that doesn't make them any different. What I had touched bases on a couple of things on Facebook is that I was hoping that a lot of people, I'm just not going to say white because there's a lot of racism in different ways, but if they can just understand humanity. You know, I expressed to them that my father had a whole heart transplant, and he had a white woman's heart implanted in his body, and he lived. You know what I'm saying? And just so that people who look at people different and want to harm other people, you can be hurting somebody that you might later need later. But when you go into an office and you have people that's looking at you sideways, you look at them and you smile and you say, hey, how you doing today? You know, don't give them that opportunity to make you feel any type of way, because you're on the same level, you know, as them. So you shouldn't feel any type of way different and walk any type of way different just because of the color of your skin. Be encouraged and take your grace and walk with it. You know what I'm saying? God is walking with you. So no matter who's saying anything to you, I'm not in corporate America, but I can just about imagine what you guys go through. But the thing of it is to spread love and make that hatred become the minority. You know what I'm saying? And make the majority become love. Because if you start loving on those ignorant people who rolling their eyes and side eyes and speaking to them, it's going to start fading away because they're going to start feeling out of place. You know what I'm saying? And then I would reach out and speak to the ones that's the most negative. You know what I'm saying? I would start a conversation with them just because. But as long as you hold your strength and continue to do your job, you shouldn't feel any type of way to make you, you know what I'm saying, feel like you done wasted your time going to school to get to the job and education level that you are at. I got on this call because I wanted to listen to it. I didn't know how to work it, but I just thank you so much, Taquania. I love you so much. I appreciate everything that you do. I'm in love with this. Like I really see the elevation in the pastor was speaking. You got so many people of different races out here, and they're only fighting for people with dark skin. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all the same. It's just some people have lighter pigmentation than others. You know what I'm saying? Because if you cut up on a human body, every freaking organ is the same. So just because, and the white people even got lighter white people and darker white people. So, you know, it's like, I just want to express to everybody just to spread love. You know what I'm saying? If you walk in the walk of God, it's going to radiate off you. So that negative energy won't even get to you. Don't let anybody make you feel down, Nina. Don't even pay them no attention. You know, continue to go and do whatever it is that you do at your job and be great at it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they're threatened by. Because they know the intelligence that's in the Black mind that can grow. It's in every mind, but some people teach their kids ignorance and some people teach them to be great. You know, so I just would hope that you can stand a little strong within yourself, look at yourself in the mirror before you go, or if you got to go into the office and go into the bathroom, look at yourself into a mirror, say you a prayer, and tell yourself you got this. And walk out there and you are not even going to pay attention to that negative energy because you're full of the goodness and the grace that God has gave you. That's all I like to say. I just wanted to join here today. And thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rika.
You are welcome.
Oh, I cut my thank you short because I thought that someone was about to respond to you. When I see people go off mute, I assume they're about to start talking. But you touched on a lot of really important things. Probably too many for me to remember them all. But I definitely just want to echo your comments to anyone that's in the workplace and you're just experiencing the different dynamics of working with people of different races and different thought patterns, because it's not always a different race that has a thought pattern that can be counterproductive to people of color. So just wanting to encourage you and to continue to allow you to have this safe space to explain anything that you're experiencing. Know that it is okay to feel what you feel. Allow yourself space to feel what you feel, but always keep it moving. So you pick it up, you continue to focus on your task at hand and your purpose and your calling, and not to let that discourage you or to prevent you from your ultimate goal. Are there any other people on the call today that have comments, thoughts, questions, concerns, reactions that you would like to share?
I do. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Is that Catalina?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Catalina Macedo Young. I'm on the Youth Advisory Committee. And I just wanted to touch on a topic that the previous person talked about, it's not just white people, but so I just wanted to address the anti-Blackness that exists in Asian and Hispanic communities. I'm half Hispanic and I'm half Asian. And, when I saw, I don't know if y'all know this, but because it's not exactly front page news, but the second officer that just stood by while George Floyd died, he was a Hmong Asian American. So a Hmong person is just an ethnic group of people in Southeast Asia. And when I saw that, I was, I was extremely horrified. And it just reminded me of the problems that, in my own ethnic communities exist. And anti-Blackness does exist in Asian and Hispanic communities. Like, it's not just white people. But I also want to assure all of you that the majority of people in Asian and Hispanic communities do support Black Lives Matter. We do support equality. And those people, they're working, the people who are vocal and who are working, they are working towards addressing this problem in our own ethnic groups and communities. My own sister, she's telling my cousins who can't speak English, about these problems and about what's going on in the world right now and in the country. And she's just an example. But I just want to let y'all know that you have allies in Asian and Hispanic communities and that you're not alone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catalina. That was so well stated and such an important point. Catalina is the co-chair of our Youth Advisory Committee along with Kayla, and we really appreciate her leadership on that committee and her volunteerism with the Minority Freedom Community Fund. I think you touched on a lot of very important aspects that I don't think we've talked about too much yet. I'll just, instead of recapping, I'll just reiterate that support across all racial groups or ethnicities is needed in order to advance in order to make any advancements, any real sustained advancements among the African American community. And so we truly appreciate our allies, and we thank you for recognizing the need that exists in our community right now. Are there any other callers on the phone or on Zoom that have anything to say? Again, if you're on the phone, you can press *6 to unmute yourself. If you're on the phone and you can hear my voice and you have something to say, a question, a reaction to anything that's going on, again, this is a time that we really want to just hear from the community and allow community members to just share what's going on with you, what your feelings are. Again, press *6 to unmute yourself if you're dialed in on your phone.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Mosley. I want to preface this with I am white and I am an ally. I'm glad Catalina brought up the points she did. I've had difficult conversations with family about what's going on. I've done what I can with sharing petitions, signing petitions, and just spreading as much information as I possibly can. For medical reasons, I can't be out protesting. But what else can be done to help this cause?
Can I answer this one?
I'm sorry, did someone just say something?
I was asking, can I answer him?
Yes, please do.
Okay, hi, Nicholas. It's Nick, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it? Okay, hi, thank you. Thank you so much, first of all, for even acknowledging the fact that, it's a serious situation and a problem out here. But what I think that you can do is just speak with your friends and family. You know what I'm saying? When you hear anyone speaking negative or saying anything in a racist form, try to correct them in the best way possible that you can without getting an aggravated assault against yourself, But I believe if you promote to stop the ignorance with the people, I'm not saying that you might know anyone that might be ignorant, but if I hate saying white people because it's so racist to me, but if other people of non-color promoted it to their family and friends, I think it can deaden it, because it's not, you're not born racist. You know, this is something that people have learned. This is something that in someone's household that the children have seen, they have grown up, and they have continued on with it. So I believe if you can stop with your friends and your family, if whoever that you know that's of non-color, and if you hear them, you know, speaking in that way, keep attacking them on correction of spreading love and not spreading hate. And I think it'll kind of help dummy it down. And if you can tell your friends to spread it, you know, it'll be like a trickle effect. You know, one person spread it and then just spread it all over. Then you don't have, they become the minority. You know, it's not a majority of racist people, it's now a minority. And the minority is going to feel very small and stupid once they don't see anybody else going with them. So if you can do that, that might help, you know, but I just say stop it at the head. You know, if you have anybody that comes to you like, you feel black, what do you mean? He's the same kind of person as you, because we are all human, you know? That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you
really
so much,
quickly-
Sharika.
Ooh. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to really quickly echo Sharika's point. Like, her point was spot on to what I was going to say. My whole thing is, you permit it, you promote it. So like Sharika said, continue to speak up for these issues, continue to say something, continue to be not only an ally, but a co-conspirator, and learning the difference between that. I don't think it's enough to just speak on these issues and speak against them. You really have to take action, because action behind words are very powerful. I know Movement for Black Lives has a whole week of things you can do, like straight from your home, where you don't have to be on the front lines on a protest, because I know a lot of people like in my family are immune, have respiratory issues, and their immunities are compromised right now. So they're trying to find ways to actually take action at their home. So if you want to follow them in their movement, they have a lot of suggestions. But again, you permit it, you're promoted. So if you don't stand up to when people say these negative things, in a way, you're just as bad as the people saying the negative things. Like, you have to stand up for it. Permit it, you promote it. So that's my charge.
Thank you so much, Sarita. Nick, I just shared a link to a call that actually starts at 9 o'clock today. It's another Zoom call, but it's actually, I think, just spot on to what you're looking for. And I shared it in case anyone else who's on the call gets a similar question. I'll preface this by saying that one thing to be aware of is that people of color right now are already dealing with so much, and many of us are not ready or willing to accept the added burden of having to educate allies at this moment. And it's not intended to be a thing of malice or ill intent, but just in this moment, we really need to be reflective and focusing on what our communities need. And so to have that extra burden of having to educate just isn't necessarily the right time for some of us. And so I want to just share with you a resource that I became aware of today from an organization called Results. It's a nonprofit organization. It's also a PAC. But they have a call tonight at 9 o'clock on Zoom. The title of the call is How to Be an Ally in the Fight for Racial Justice. And so quickly, I'll read the description. The agony and outrage of racism has boiled over in the US. Many white people are asking themselves how to be allies to their Black peers. One thing white people can do is to take it upon themselves to get educated and find meaningful actions that do not place additional burden on people experiencing racism. Join us on Wednesday, June 3rd, that's today, at 9 p.m. Eastern, that's in about 19 minutes, to discuss what you can do. And there's a link to the Zoom meeting, and you can even call in. But I would encourage you just to search, get connected with organizations like Results. I shared the link, and I think you joined via Zoom, so you should have access to the link. But go ahead and join that call after our call. I'm sure it'll still be going on, and hear from others and learn and just get connected. There's so many resources out there. Color of Change, Worthy. I mean, there's so many PACs that are doing great work right now. And even if you subscribe to our newsletters, a lot of information that we share in the course of those newsletters can be leveraged. So thank you for asking. Thank you for expressing interest. Thank you for being an ally. And we do support you, and we are appreciative of you.
Yes, we are.
Thank you also, Sarita, for your comments. Are there any other people on the call that have questions, comments, things you would like to share, reactions? Please unmute yourself at this time.
This is Montika. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
I'm not really sure exactly what was shared before, so forgive me if I am redundant in any way. I came on at about 7:30, but I did want to just say something to Nick, because I think it's awesome that that you called in, and I just wanted to just say thank you and honor you for even doing that, because a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. I've had a few white friends that have reached out and have asked, well, what can I do, so on and so forth. I think that educating yourself is extremely important, but also, I don't know where you live, but finding out what organizations locally that are, grassroots, or something that you believe in, that you can get behind, because when we're talking about racism and systemically, to me, the George Floyd incident brought everything to a head, but we have so many underlying disparities, with Black people. So whatever pricks your heart the most, and get involved, instead of, put kind of like what everybody else was saying, educate yourself, but action speaks so much louder, than words. Because when the protests died down, there's a lot of people out here doing work already. It would be great to have the support, and then also to have white people who have more resources than many Black people have, when you're coming from the fact that Black folks have only really been free for not that long. Interracial marriages has only been, I think, for about 50 years. Civil rights movement wasn't that long ago. So when you're talking about old money, wealth, connections, those types of things, y'all have different access than what we have. So if you're passionate about something, and somebody, tell people that you're passionate about this thing, and that these folks need help, and so on and so forth. I think those are also things that the white community can do, as far as, being active. And it really just depends on what you want to do. I know I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so like where Terrence Crutcher was killed, and his family has an organization, the Terrence Crutcher Foundation. So there's a lot of people that are joining that organization, and helping to join the fight in that way. And there's different, healthcare, education, police brutality, whatever it is that you can, be passionate about, and get behind. But thank you so much for coming on the call.
Thank you so much for those words, Montika. And thank you, everyone that shared your comments. I truly appreciate it. At this time, I would like to introduce our guest speaker. And so today we have Sarita Darby from Detroit Heals Detroit here to talk to us about the Detroit Heals Detroit program. Detroit Heals Detroit exists to foster healing justice for Detroit youth, in which they are able to transform their pain into power. And I think this is a really a concept that could translate to us in so many ways. So I think it's a very fitting conversation to have right now. And thank you so much, Sarita, for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you all for having me and just being here tonight amongst all that we're going on. Movement trauma is real. So amongst all that, thank you all for just being present and just sharing the space with all of us. My name is Sarita Darby. I am the adult facilitator and executive director of Detroit Hills, Detroit. I will be presenting tonight with our youth president, our vice president, excuse me, Brianna Donald. I'm going to let her introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brianna. I am, of course, the Vice President of Detroit Hills, Detroit. Basically, we just we have a goal right now to really just help the youth of Detroit really understand what's going on and how that affects them and how they can be able to take that and turn it into something greater and better and even possibly help other people.
And we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so just like she said, our mission is to foster healing justice for Detroit youth in which they're able to transform their pain into power. And with the goal to combat trauma, we use healing-centered engagement, share our greatest vulnerabilities with the rest of the world, while simultaneously working to dismantle oppressive systems for marginalized Detroit youth. You can go to the next slide.
So our vision, our organization was created for Detroit youth who have been walking and developing in a world that has sought to silence their pain. We understand that our students face more challenges than any individual person can remedy. So our goal is to have them help each other heal from their trauma together. They need a voice and access to share their greatest vulnerabilities with the rest of the world, giving their trauma a purpose. Exposure to trauma has a profound impact on cognitive development and academic outcomes, and our specific students in Detroit seem to wake up to trauma like it's breakfast. We believe that we need to look at children through the lens of what happened to that child versus what's wrong with that child.
All right, so healing justice is the framework that we follow for our organization. So we believe that we need to shift from this trauma-informed care to healing-centered engagement. So trauma-informed care is a buzzword in education and just in the mental health world in general. And we want to use the term and shift that term to healing-centered engagement. Trauma focuses on the individual and treat the individual, but let's be very clear, it does nothing to say to heal the system, and that's what healing-centered engagement does. If we're going to really heal trauma, we need to get to the root causes of trauma that lives within the systems of oppression that we're living in. So our organization, we like to think of is a social justice organization that does mental health work and fights for mental health for Detroit youth. So we want a decolonization of youth mental health. So really making mental health less clinical and more social and political, because it is a social and political issue, and having it youth-centered and focused practices. This organization is founded by Detroit youth. I had the pleasure of just sharing their light with them, and they gave me permission to facilitate their learning and help them develop this organization. I was their previous teacher in Detroit, so I had the pleasure of doing that as well. So really making sure that it started as a youth-led initiative and making sure it continues. There's so much power in seeing other Detroit youth helping each other heal from pain, and there's so much power and potential in that. Listening to the youth is another thing. I don't think we listen to youth enough. And if we really want to heal trauma and heal systems, we need to listen to youth and let youth show up as their full selves. Engagement as an agent of change. So again, being clear, trauma is not experienced in isolation. So it shouldn't be combated in isolation. If we're going to combat trauma, it needs to be done collectively in a collective manner. And that's why a lot of our practices focus on combating trauma collectively. A lot of times we treat trauma in an individual, but trauma lives within a community. So we need to have a community space and a community way to combat it. And these are 4 pillars of impacts. Again, we talked about healing justice is a framework that identifies how youth can holistically respond to and intervene on generational trauma and violence, and to bring collective practices that can impact and transform their consequences of oppression on our bodies, hearts, and minds. We talked about youth-led organizing. It's a movement that empowers young people while simultaneously enabling them to make substantive contributions to their own communities, using organizing strategies that alter power relations, and identify, advocate for, and instigate change on critical issues that are having an impact on our communities and broader society. Community transformation, engaging in deep level of collaboration to feed transformational thinking and action, using community transformation that focus on the intersectionality of culture, race, gender, class, and create a space where healing is experienced collectively. Again, we're focusing on changing the community and changing the systems that created the trauma in the first place. So we don't have to pass down that trauma through generations. We're just, again, treating the individual, not treating the system, is going to live on. We're only combating a portion of that issue. We really need to combat everything. And then liberation and access, giving our kids liberation for racial, social, and economic justice. And our distinct goal is to give our peers access, our students access to healing, literacy, access to liberation, and access to new possibilities.
So our project is basically, this is what healing from trauma feels like. You're holding a dam together with super glue, and behind it, it is a giant ocean of pain, and all you have is this super glue for the cracks in the cement. The trickles of pain through those cracks are enough to terrify you, but everyone around you seems oblivious, thinking, well, you look like you're holding it together, you look like you're healing, so you must be fine. Which, of course, in fact, is not the case. A lot of times in our youth, especially the youth of Detroit, we go unnoticed. Our pain definitely goes unnoticed. And because we are so young, a lot of people believe that we don't have any issues or trauma at all. So we want to try to fight that whole thought with this and be able to give the youth that time and that space to talk about what hurts them, and even if they do feel that they are being hurt.
So one of the ways we do this is with our healing circles. This is one of our just primary events or projects that we have in Detroit Heals Detroit. So our healing circles are designed for Detroit youth to develop in a world that has got to balance their pain. We understand that Detroit students face more challenges than any individual person in the community. Their goal is to help each other heal from their trauma together. They need a voice of access to share their greatest vulnerabilities with the rest of the world, truly giving their trauma a purpose. So these healing circles started within my classroom. I taught at Detroit Collegiate High School on the east side of Detroit. I taught in the same community in which I lived in, which is great. I think a lot of people teach at the end of the day, they go home to their suburban cul-de-sac, and they don't have to live and witness the conditions of the community. A lot of times schools have become scapegoats for issues of the community. And as an organization, we aim to combat those issues. So with me, I'm very, the liberation of my students is very important to me. I'm always going to fight for it. So I saw that my students were coming into my classroom carrying trauma on their backs, and we did nothing as educators to help them. I became exhausted trying to convince my administration that we needed more trauma counselors. So they were like, it's too expensive. They just need grit. And let's be clear, my kids have enough grit. They were born with it, passed down by their ancestors. And there is no amount of grit that can fight off the intersections of living in poverty. So that wasn't enough for me. So I am a find a way, make a way type of person. So I knew that my classroom had to become a space of healing. And so I implemented these healing circles every Friday. And these healing circles turned to a publication. You can go to the next slide.
The Forbidden Tears publication series. So Forbidden Tears was written with a goal to combat student trauma in Detroit. Students from the heart of Detroit have contributed their once silenced voices to this project in hopes of turning their pain into power. Unedited and raw, students shared their compelling stories of trauma in the form of essays, poems, and written narratives. This book serves as the gift in the womb, as a lot of tears were shed in the production of this publication, but it will be sure to be impactful to anyone who opens the cover. Here's the inception of a movement of youth that will no longer suffer in silence. This is Forbidden Tears, and it can be now purchased on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Basically, with doing this, we just, in the classroom, we were allowed to write any way that we felt we needed to. Just write about something that happened, something that meant something to you, anything that you felt was still somehow bothering you, anything that was very traumatic. And there was no certain way that we had to write it. There was no format because, of course, that is an issue with some people and with some youth. They don't feel that their writing is confident or that they can articulate their voice the way that they should be able to when there is an outline given for them to speak. So with Ms. Darby, she basically just let us free write as we wished in any style that we wished. And it was very moving to see that even though everyone wrote so differently and chose different ways to bring out their story, everyone still found a way to say something that was very positive or powerful. And in the end, the result was much greater than we could ever imagine. Everyone became very close with one another. We learned a lot. We learned that a lot of us weren't very different than we thought we could be. And the writing is also a very important aspect because a lot of people can't talk about it. So being able to put it on paper was important. And it also helped us to better our writing skills as well within the classroom. Our Healing Justice Gala. So the gala is a fundraising event for the organization that showcases the monumental greatness of Detroit youth with performances including spoken word, dance ensembles, monologues, and choral performances. Additionally, 2 scholarships are given out as well as awards to youth trailblazers making a difference in the greater Detroit community. The gala is an opportunity to exchange dialogue about trauma in our communities, led by the voices of our young people. So trauma is personal. It does not disappear if it is not validated. When it is ignored or invalidated, the silent screams continue internally heard only by the one held captive. When someone enters the pain and hears the screams, healing can begin. And that is by Danielle Burnock. So our Healing Justice Gala is basically just a nice time where everyone can come to see the accomplishments of the youth of Detroit. We laugh, we definitely enjoyed the performances by our youth. They're very talented and powerful, and it's overall a very, very great experience being able to celebrate all of our accomplishments at once in one place.
Yeah, so that brings us to our most urgent project right now and our most recent project. Our youth have done a lot of work for COVID relief. They started a youth task force to combat the negative mental health impacts of COVID on Detroit youth. I think we saw a lot of people saw the elderly as the most vulnerable population during that time, which they very well are. But I also want the youth as the most vulnerable population as well, because when we think about how COVID is going to affect our youth 10, 20 years down the line, they're going to feel the impact. They're going to feel the trauma from that as generations go on. And as we think about like things like Columbine, that was 20 years ago, they still have trauma counselors at those schools trying to combat that trauma from a event that happened 20 years ago, because trauma lives through generations and generations. Because trauma lives through generations and generations, then healing must live through generations and generations. Trauma is persistent. It cannot just be treated like, hey, we went here, now I'm good. Trauma is persistent, so the healing needs to be persistent as well. And that's why we're looking to develop this healing hub where healing can be persistent in a persistent space, where Black youth in Detroit feel affirmed, their identities feel affirmed, they feel safe. It's not a violent space like a lot of classrooms, unfortunately. I always ask teachers, is your classroom safe? You know, and when we think about safety, a lot of people think about physical safety, but I want us to really shift that and think about spiritual and cultural safety as well, because that can be potentially much more dangerous because it's presented on a subtle level. So think about that as well. Is your classroom a violent space for the Black youth of Detroit because they're not feeling like their identities are affirmed? So if that classroom is not a safe space, this is what our goal to combating that is really building a space where youth can bring collective healing and can lean on each other to heal from the pain and then lead that movement for the next generation so we don't pass off that trauma to the next generation. So the goal of this youth-led healing hub is to provide culturally rooted trauma-informed care, wraparound services, and use restorative practices to help students experience recurrent trauma, specifically youth ages 12 to 21. We aim to reduce disciplinary incidents, decrease suspensions and expulsions, and improve social emotional skills, academic engagement with peers who are seen a lot of times as that quote unquote behavior child. We will use healing centered engagement led by youth that focuses on the intersectionality of culture, race, gender, and class, and create a space for healing is experienced collectively. And when the youth and neighborhoods heal, the community begins to heal. Healing is very much rooted in the community. So that is what we are about. So we have developed a campaign, a fundraiser. We have gotten a lot of support, more support than we could imagine. That is actually been a little overwhelming for me and my youth. So we actually have hit our goal, and we increased the goal to now 10K to make it more reality. We met with so many people. We're trying to convince the city of Detroit to give us a building, a lot of buildings that are sitting there. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with Burbank Elementary. So just trying to really find a space for our youth and to really make this vision come to reality and making it a community space. I'm really big on community engagement and engaging with our community. We've been doing a lot of that. We don't want to say that this is Detroit Hills, Detroit space without engaging with the community to see what they need. So really engaging with the community, and 70% of our engagement is with the youth, since this will be a youth-led space. So that is what we're doing right now. If you want to support us, you can text Detroit Heals to 44321 and donate to our campaign. You can share it. We're definitely looking for people to volunteer their expertise on the development of this. We've had a lot of technical assistance with this over the last few weeks, but we can definitely use more. If anyone wants to be a part of this initiative, again, this is a community space. Healing is very much rooted in community. So if you are, I know Minority Freedom Fund, a lot of people are from the Detroit area and a lot of people aren't. So if you are from the Detroit area and can physically be a part of this, we would love you. And if not, you're not from the area and you want to support in other ways, we would greatly appreciate that as well.
All right, is that I don't want to cut you off, is that the end of your presentation?
Yes. This is the end.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to learn more, you can go on to DetroitHillsDetroit.org to learn more.
Okay, well, thank you, Sarita and Brianna, for that wonderful presentation. I want to first open it up to anyone that's on the call that has any questions for Sarita or Brianna right now. Any questions or any reactions to the Detroit Heals Detroit program, specifically our Detroit callers?
This is Dana. I just want to say thank you so much, Sarita. I have been able to watch you and what you've done for students in Detroit and with students in Detroit. And it just makes me proud to see you in action. And I cannot wait to be a part of it.
Yes, thank you, Dana. Dana was actually at our book launch for Forbidden Tears. That was like 2 years ago. So she's been supporting ever since. So yes, we love and appreciate you so much.
Love you too.
Hi, this is Nakia. I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. Great job, Brianna. You did an amazing job leading this presentation. I just want to say that my daughter Kayla attended your event last Friday, and it was awesome. I tried to peek in and I heard how much fun the kids were having. It was very engaging. The students were participating. A lot of energy on that call. I really wanted to sit in there, but she put me out. But I was like, oh, I want to be in there. So you are doing an amazing job, because the faces and the kids, they were having a great time and they were learning in a fun way. So I just appreciate all of your work. And so thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And my book came this week. My book came this week too.
Awesome. Yes, we loved having Kayla with us last week. I will always hear Kayla on these calls. And again, y'all know I'm about youth-led leadership. So when I hear the youth talking, it really warms my heart because that's what I'm about, just really facilitating youth leadership. With that, we are really looking for more youth leaders to join our movement and to join Detroit Heals Detroit. So we're doing applications. If you don't want to fill out an application, you do not have to. Please join us. The application is on our website. But again, y'all, this is a youth-led movement. I'm just here to facilitate their learning. I feel like the next generation, this movement, when we talk about healing and mental health, it needs to be led by young people if we're really going to stop that generational trauma. So we're starting young, like letting people know. Because when I was depressed, my mama told me that don't exist. You know, she told me to go take a nap and wake up and it'll be better. And it wasn't, you know, so that mental health is such a stigma in our community. And if we start influencing young people to lead that mental health movement, then it will be stronger than ever. Then we can kill that stigma before it actually becomes a thing in adulthood. So if you know any youth who would love to be a part of our organization, please let us know. We are looking. We would love to have them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. My book came today too. Rika, did you have something that you wanted to say? I think I saw your.
I did. I wanted to, first of all, I just want to thank you so much because it really does start with the youth, you know what I'm saying? And building the character and the strength inside of them will promote healthy adults, you know? So Klein, if you can send me like the link, I would love to volunteer when I can because I got a group of kids of my own, but I would love to volunteer when I can to go in and help because inspiring the youth to be great and what I just heard you say, all of that, I love it all, and that is what we need, you know, and we need it across the board, but it's no better place than the start of Detroit where I was born and raised. And we got a lot of hurt youth here, a lot. So I just, if the client send me that information, I would love to, you know, chime in and help with that because I love the youth too. I can't deal with adults, but the kids, we work it out. And I thank you so much because that is what we need.
Thank you.
So I did go ahead and send you the link, Rika, separately, but their website is on this screen. So for people that are on the call and not looking at the screen, their website is DetroitHealsDetroit.org. You can get connected with them that way. You can also reach out to anyone at Minority Freedom Community Fund, and we can share contact information as well. I did drop a link to the Forbidden Tears book on Amazon and invite you all to purchase the book. And if you do shop Amazon, make sure that you shop Amazon Smile and select Minority Freedom Community Fund as your charity of choice, or Detroit Heals Detroit, either one. We really appreciate that. I also shared another link sort of back to back. So my apologies for that, but I found another piece online that could be helpful for our allies to explore. Thank you again, Sarita and Brianna. I feel like there are so many lessons that can be translated outside of youth. So lessons in regards to culturally rooted trauma and trauma-informed practices and the impact that trauma has on generations, how that's showing up in our country right now is really evident. And so just the practices that you're developing and that you're using could be translated and repurposed for so many uses. Are there any other people that on the call that have any questions or comments for Detroit Heals Detroit? Detroit Heals Detroit. If not, we're going to move to wrap up the call. And so I just wanted to just share a couple of reminders. The first is that we are in urgent need of additional donations for our Community Response Fund. We received maybe 40 or so applications since Friday from people from the community who are experiencing hardship due to COVID-19. And we really don't want to turn people away in their time of need. So we're trying to postpone making decisions on the applications until we can ramp up some fundraising to help meet more of the need. Right now, we have about a $4,000 shortfall based on the applications that we've received. And so if you or anyone you know are able to donate or fundraise on our behalf, you can text the keyword COVID Fund, COVID-FUND, to the number 44321. And that will take you to a link that you can either donate directly if you're able, or you can fundraise on our behalf. There's a link there to fundraise for our cause if you go to that website. You can also donate via Cash App if you prefer. We strongly prefer you use the COVID Fund keyword to 44321. That way you can get your donation receipt automatically, and it sort of alleviates some of our administrative burden, but we want to be receptive to however you want to give. So if you find Cash App easy and you use it often, and that's what you want to use, we do have a Cash App. Our number, or our cash tag is MI Freedom CF, and you can donate that way as well. I also just wanted to remind folks that we are in the soft phase of our 100 Wishes Granted campaign. Right now, we're just recruiting people to pledge to be a donor for the campaign. Again, this was a campaign that stemmed as a result of our Emergency Assistance Fund, just seeing the different needs that come up on those applications we receive. Based on the fact that we have a huge influx of applications in the past few days, I am certain that the needs are just increasing. And so if you're able, if you aren't able to donate to our COVID fund, but you're able to sign up to be a donor and pledge to be a donor for our 100 Wishes Granted campaign, you can access the form, which we just asked you a couple of questions, your name, I think where you're from, and what amount you're able or thinking you might be able to donate. We want to get a sense from the community what the available funding will be before we reach out to people in need and invite them to create their wish list, just so we can be realistic in their expectations. If there are any questions about that campaign that anyone has, feel free to contact anyone at the Minority Freedom Community Fund or me directly. Also, again, just want to encourage and reiterate that Detroit Heals Detroit is an organization that we are super proud to uplift the work of, and we are joining them in their fundraising efforts as well. So if you would like to donate to Detroit Heals Detroit, we also have a fundraiser page that we are using for them as well. So if you go to bit.ly/MFCF Detroit Heals, you can also donate to Detroit Heals Detroit. You can also donate directly to their giving page or their fundraising page as well that was listed on their presentation. A reminder that is not listed here for anyone that is on the call that is connected with the Minority Freedom Fund or interested in becoming a volunteer for the Minority Freedom Community Fund. This Saturday at 6 o'clock is our very first volunteer meet and greet. It will be held via Zoom. We have some fun stuff planned. So if you're able, we ask that you join us this Saturday at 6 p.m. If you are not already connected with our organization and need the information, please drop your email in the chat before you leave, or you can text us at 810-377-5165. You can contact us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at the username MIFreedomCF. That's the easiest way to search us on all those platforms. And we'll be happy to get you the information. But for all of those that are already connected with our organization as a volunteer, we are super excited and hope that you can find time to participate this Saturday for our first volunteer meet and greet at 6 p.m. You can go to the next slide, please. All right. So I think either last week or the week before last, I can't remember, we decided to just in recognition and appreciation of you all joining these calls so faithfully and being so participative. And we really wanted to say thank you. And so we introduced this raffle time thanks to an anonymous sponsor who donated all of the funds for this. And so each week we will be selecting randomly a caller who is still on the call at the end of the call to receive a thank you gift via Cash App from us. And so we have selected our winner who is on the call, and our president and executive director, Nakia Powell-Thomas, will be announcing the winner right now.
Okay, so at first I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us on this call. I know it's a little bit of a different format, but we appreciate each of you spending your time with us. The one thing that Obama, I almost said President Obama, the one thing that Obama said today was that we are still in a pandemic. So I want to make sure that we still keep that in mind, that we still have people getting sick and dying. So our task force is still helping people and with resources and everything else that we can do. So your time is valuable. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be on the call. But for the raffle, we pre-selected a number. So that way we could figure out who could win. And the number is 11. And our 11th caller is Deanna Footman. I'm not sure if her phone is on. Can you hear us, Deanna?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. We appreciate you and everyone else being on the call. You will receive, we have your number. You will receive a Cash App from us for being on the call today.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
All right. So I think, is there another slide or is that it? That's it. So thank you all for joining us on this call. Again, we'll be back every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We try to be here and just be a steady source of information and connection for you all. So thank you for your time. I hope that you all continue to stay safe, stay encouraged, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Be blessed.
Stay safe.